Hello, first graders. We are about to do our chapters 3 and 4 reading of Magic Treehouse Dinosaurs Before Dark. Remember, you guys do not have this book at home, so you are simply following along as I read. So I read, you listen. I'd like you to try to follow along with the words because when you see what you are hearing, it's just going to help you become that much better of a reader. Okay? So just to recap what happened in chapters 2 and 3. Remember, Annie and Jack, they came across an old treehouse that they've never seen before. They had no idea where it came from, and then they decided to explore inside. Inside, there were tons of books, and in one of those books, it had a dinosaur on it, a pteranodon. So, what happened next is Annie saw a monster out the window, right? But it wasn't a monster. Annie and Jack both saw a pteranodon outside the window of the treehouse. So what do we think happened? The more we read, the more we'll find out. Okay, so here is chapter 3. Where is here? Jack looked out the window. He looked down at the picture in the book. He looked back out the window. The world outside and the world in the picture, they were exactly the same. The pteranodon was soaring through the sky. The ground was covered with ferns and tall grass. There was a winding stream, a sloping hill, and volcanoes in the distance. Where are we?" stammered Jack. The pteranodon glided down to the base of their tree. The creature coasted to a stop and stood very still. "What happened to us?" said Annie. She looked at Jack. He looked at her. "I don't know," said Jack. "I was looking at the picture in the book. And you said, 'Wow, I wish I could see a pteranodon for real,'" said Annie. "Yeah, and then we saw one. In the Frog Creek woods," said Jack. "Yeah, and then the wind got loud, and the treehouse started spinning," said Annie. "And we landed here," said Jack. "And we landed here," said Annie. "So that means," said Jack. "So that means what?" said Annie. "Nothing," said Jack. He shook his head. "None of this can be real." Annie looked out the window again. "But he's real," she said. "He's very real." Jack looked out the window with her. The pteranodon was standing at the base of the oak tree like a guard. His giant wings were spread out on either side of him. "Hi," Annie shouted. "Shush," said Jack. "We're not supposed to be here." "But where is here?" said Annie. "I don't know," said Jack. "Hi," Annie called again to the creature. The pteranodon looked up at them. "Where is here?" Annie called down. "You're nuts. He can't talk," said Jack. "But maybe the book can tell us." Jack looked down at the book. He read the words under the picture. This flying reptile lived in the Cretaceous period. It vanished 65 million years ago. No, impossible. They couldn't have landed in a time 65 million years ago, Jack said. Jack, said Annie. He's nice. Nice? Yeah, I can tell. Let's go down and talk to him. Talk to him? Annie started down the rope ladder. "Hey," shouted Jack, but Annie kept going. "Are you crazy?" Jack called. Annie dropped to the ground. She stepped boldly up to the ancient creature. Chapter number 4. Henry. Jack grasped as Annie held out her hand. Oh, brother. She was always trying to make friends with animals. But this was going too far. "Don't get too close to him, Annie," Jack shouted. But Annie touched the pteranodon's crest. She stroked his neck. She was talking to him. What in the world was she saying? Jack took a deep breath. Okay. He would go down too. It would be good to examine the creature. Take notes. like a scientist. Jack started down the rope ladder. When he got to the ground, Jack was only a few feet away from the creature. The creature stared at Jack. His eyes were bright and alert. "He's soft, Jack," said Annie. "He feels like Henry." Jack snorted. "He's no dog, Annie." "Feel him, Jack," said Annie. Jack didn't move. "Don't think, Jack. Just do it." Jack stepped forward. He put out his arm, very cautiously. He brushed his hand down the creature's neck. Interesting. A thin layer of fuzz covered the pteranodon's skin. "Soft, huh?" said Annie. Jack reached into his backpack and pulled out a pencil and notebook. He wrote, "Fuzzy skin." "What are you doing?" asked Annie. "Taking notes," said Jack. "We're probably the first people in the whole world to ever see a real live pteranodon." Jack looked at the pteranodon again. The creature had a bony crest on the top of his head. The crest was longer than Jack's arm. "I wonder how smart he is," Jack said. "Very smart," said Annie. "Don't count on it," said Jack. "His brain's probably not bigger than a bean." "No, he's very smart. I can feel it," said Annie. "I'm going to call him Henry," Jack wrote in his notebook. "Small brain? Question mark. Jack looked at the creature again. "Maybe he's a mutant," he said. The creature tilted his head. Annie laughed. "He's no mutant, Jack." "Well, what's he doing here, then?" "Where is this place?" said Jack. Annie leaned close to the pteranodon. "Do you know where we are, Henry?" she asked softly. The creature fixed his eyes on Annie. His long jaws were opening and closing, like a giant pair of scissors. "Are you trying to talk to me, Henry?" asked Annie. "Forget it, Annie," Jack wrote in his notebook. "Mouth like scissors? Question mark. "Did we come to a time long ago, Henry?" asked Annie. "Is this a place from long ago?" Suddenly she gasped. "Jack!" He looked up. Annie was pointing toward the hill. On top stood a huge dinosaur. All right, so boys and girls, make a prediction. What kind of dinosaur do you think it was that they saw on the top of the hill? All right. Now, we have completed the reading for the Dinosaurs Before Dark. Now, I would like us to grab our Dinosaurs Before Dark response journal. Remember, it is the green one. And we are on chapters 3 and 4. Now, for 3 and 4, all we're going to do today is we are going to describe the characters. So, the two characters we've been introduced to so far are Jack and Annie. Now, the way we're going to describe these characters are with adjectives. Remember, adjectives describe nouns. They are describing words. So if I were to describe Jack, I might say smart. Jack seems really smart to me. I could also say maybe scared. Jack seems like he's a scared type of kid. Now, boys and girls, when you're writing these, you don't actually have to write a full sentence. You can go ahead and just write adjectives by themselves. So I would say, yep, he's smart. I would say scared. Oh, that's a really bad C, boys and girls. I'm so sorry. He's scared. And then I could also say, for Annie, she seems really brave, doesn't she? That's something I would say. She's brave, okay. So go ahead, think of as many different adjectives as you can to describe these characters. If you want to keep writing and you run out of room, maybe you just find an extra piece of paper. That would be awesome. But at the very bottom of the page, it says, "Who do you think you are more like?" Again, boys and girls, at this point, we could write a full sentence, okay? So, who do you think you are more like? I think we should repeat some words in here for our answer. So, our answer should be like this. I am more like and you fill in the blank, okay? And then you have to put a period at the end. Remember, capital letter, my words make sense, period at the end. So I am more like blank. Once you're done, you can go ahead, maybe draw a picture of Jack and Annie. Maybe you want to look at the book to help you draw a picture of Jack and Annie, or maybe you want to use your own imagination. If you were in the same classroom as Jack and Annie, how do you think they would look? Maybe you want to draw a picture of you with Jack and Annie. Go ahead, be creative. You guys can do whatever you'd like for this one. That does it for chapters 3 and 4. So tune in with me again tomorrow for chapters 5 and 6.